Welcome back. Now, time management and work-life balance are critical areas that impact mental health, productivity, and overall well-being. Now, in today's fast-paced world, many clients struggle with overwhelming schedules, blurred boundaries between work and home, and the pressure to excel in all areas of life. This morning, we're joined in studio by psychological counselor Kela Uiras to shed more light on this. Good morning, ma'am, and welcome to the program.
Morning, how are you?
Good. How are you this morning?
Good. Compliments. I think you were still saying it.
The compliments of 2020. Are we still safe to say that?
31st of January is still far.
It's still far. Okay. Let's talk about the importance of time management, work-life balance in maintaining a mental overall health, well-being, and also just balancing in between the two.
Yeah. So when we think of like mental health, I think of it as your ability to cope with circumstances, challenges, your ability to enjoy, to recognize your capabilities, to function in the different roles that you have, right? Now when I say function in different roles that you have, that's where the time management and that's where the work-life balance can come in. If I am doing well, if I'm effectively managing my time, if there's a good enough balance, I feel a sense of control over my life. I feel a sense of accomplishment, achievement. I'm kind of walking realistically towards my goals. And that will kind of increase my well-being and improve my mental health. On the other hand, if I am struggling with that balance, not really effectively managing my time, what happens is the opposite. I feel completely out of control. I am stressed, and not the good kind of stress that is kind of motivating. I'm like under pressure all the time. And there's a sense of, it feels like you're always playing catch up. Like you are never getting there, you're never at the place that you need to be. It's always just, there's something this, there's something that. That can get overwhelming. That can lead to anxiety. I won't even sleep. So that's where the insomnia can come in, because I'm struggling to deal with all these things because I haven't got like my footing in terms of that.
Yeah. When you talk about the issue of effective time management, in terms of work-life balance, what do we mean? Is it really an thing is just effective balance? So if you find yourself, okay, fine, I have this principle, I'm going to leave the office by 5 or 5:30, I'm not going to touch the computer. You get home, before you know it's 7 o'clock, you're already working, before you know it's 9 o'clock, you're in bed at 10, and eventually you know that you have to drop kids to school, and then you have to be at the office by 8 or before 8. So the issue of time effective management, is it a concept that we'd want to have, or is it really a concept that has been mastered, and does it really exist?
I think we have a little bit of a misunderstanding of what we mean by balance, right? So if we are expecting a 50-50, like my work takes 50% of my mind and my capacity and my enjoyment, and my personal life also takes 50%, most times that's not really what actually happens, right? And I think that's where we always fall short and we feel under pressure, because we're looking for a 50-50 balance, and that's not what's supposed to happen. What's supposed to happen is we should be able to look at our life, like the stages of life that you're in, the roles and responsibilities you have at work, and are you kind of using your resources, your emotional resource, cognitive resource, physical resources, and aligning and allocating it fairly, not fairly, but where you don't feel completely overwhelmed by one side, where one side is kind of, let's say your personal life is lacking completely and the other side is overpowering. We kind of need to know that, okay, in this stage of my life, let's say I got a new promotion, I might be doing a bit more work than I would if I was in my normal stage, or if there's something significant happening in my life, I'm getting married, I might have to put a bit more time and effort into that as well. So it's being able to adapt and being flexible with those, and not only focusing on one area of your life and neglecting the others, because both are important. That's the whole point, responsibility and functioning, but putting both, and that's where the time management comes in, where you'll be able to say, okay, in my work-life balance, I need to be able to manage the time effectively. I only have 24 hours. My energy is finite. I can't do everything. I'm not superhuman, even though sometimes we think we are. So being able to allocate that, that's what we're talking about, the balance. So not 50-50, but being able to adjust and being flexible when it needs to be.
Okay. Now, let's talk about those strategies. What strategies can be deployed to try to be as effective as possible, even though we cannot attain the 50-50? Perhaps it might be 45, 55, 60, 40.
Yeah.
So what are some of those strategies?
So, it's best to know yourself and what areas you kind of lack in, and then using the different strategies to kind of help you. So one of it that I think works very well for me is it's something called the Eisenhower matrix. That's a way of prioritizing, right? So we find out what's important, what's urgent, what's not. That'll be able to guide you, like, what must I do now? What can I schedule to do a bit later? What can I delegate? What can I say, okay, I don't really need to do that. So if you're being able to know that what is important and what is urgent, that is the now. Let's do that now. And if it's not important and it's not urgent, then that can be at the bottom. So prioritization in terms of something like that. Some other people can use something called the Pomodoro effect. That's when we use, for example, let's say for 30 minutes, I'm working, full stop, no distractions, no picking up the phone to look at Facebook, I'm fully on it. And then I maybe take a 5-minute break, I walk to the bathroom, I check my messages or whatever. So that helps more with concentration, because sometimes we struggle to focus for 10 hours or 8 hours in a day. So let's do it like 45 and 15 or 25 and 5, so that kind of thing. Delegation, and then something called like time blocking, where you know that, okay, if my energy in the morning is better, so let me do, let's say, my meetings, my social interactions, that'll do in the morning. And then when my social battery has run out, that then I allocate my, let's say, the tasks that you kind of have to do on your own, or email checking, or those kind of things, where you can kind of allocate that. When I have more energy, let me do these kind of tasks. When I'm a bit more subdued, let me do this. And then obviously your lunch and your breaks in between, and knowing that that's important as well.
Okay. Look, being a psychological counselor, I'm sure, for instance, maybe your schedule starts, okay, maybe at 9:30 you have your first client, second client at 10:30, another one at 11:30. Before you know it, maybe the other one then starts at 2 o'clock. I mean, how do you, in terms of management, ensure that you possibly separate between the different conditions of the different people that you are going to be engaging? Because I'm sure that will also be an indication of how well you manage your time, how you manage your issues, and how you're able to separate one client from another.
Okay, so I mean, each therapist kind of has their own system and way, but personally what I like to do is at least have it, let's say, 5 or 10 minutes between each client. I will go to the bathroom, I will go make myself coffee, I will check my phone. That kind of removes me from the one client and kind of creates a different space in my mind, keeping mental space, so that when the next client comes in, I'm able to kind of give them full attention without kind of lingering, on the other side. Also, I call those like my defrost time, where if I have, let's say I had back-to-back clients and my next client is only in 2-3 hours, I'm going to do something that has nothing to do with psychology, has nothing to do with mental health or counseling, at least for 20-30 minutes, if I can. Again, just to defrost and get my mind thinking of other things and give it some space and time.
Okay, brilliant. Now, as you conclude our conversation this morning, if there could be one piece of advice you give to someone who's struggling with time management and work balance, what would it be?
Good question. I think I would say take a step back. Okay. Taking a step back allows you to look at your life and see, where am I lacking? What is overpowering? Is this a temporary situation, so it's okay that I'm now just doing this because it's a project? Is this sustainable? Can I do this for a long period of time? How is my mental health? How is my well-being being impacted, if it is at all? And what areas can I work on it? Do I need to look out for help or not? But that requires you to take a step back and look, and then realize that, okay, this is where what's lacking, this is where I can kind of work on, and then doing the things that we need to do. So we can't do what we don't know.
Okay. Well, Kela Wiras, thank you very much for making time to speak to us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Now, that was Kela Wiras, who is a psychological counselor, talking to us about the